The top stories tonight in Y News. Expansion of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, a violation of the Philippines-China Joint Agreement, says security analyst. Last-minute passengers who will take a long holiday vacation face long queues in Cubao terminals. The Department of Agriculture in Davao Region ships its first ever 18 metric tons of durian to China. And the United States sends nuclear-capable bombers to South Korea as show of force against North Korea. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, April 6, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am William Theo. First in the news, last-minute passengers who will take a long holiday vacation experience long queues in Cubao terminals. JP Nunez will tell us why.
Some of the passengers who plan to take the long holiday vacation decided to travel today, April 6, to avoid the crowd in provincial terminals like yesterday. However, even if they arrived at the terminal early at dawn, they have faced long queues at a provincial bus terminal in Cubao, Quezon City.
Kanina pa pong alas 6. Ang hirap talaga, ang dami po. Daming pasahero.
Mahirap pong sumakay, sir. Maraming tao.
It was challenging for senior citizens and parents who accompanied their children to line up in the terminal due to hot weather.
Napakainit, napakahirap. Tuting na masakit yung aking balakang. Napakahirap. Tulo ang iyong pawis.
Mahirap, mga ba sobra ng pila. Kanina pa kaming 9 dito.
Mainit po ba?
Sobra, grabe. Grabe, basang-basa na yung damit namin.
Some of the passengers were informed by the terminal management that long queues were experienced as buses were stuck in North Luzon Expressway or NLEX to return to their terminals.
Kasi ma-traffic daw dyan sa dadaanan, sa Bulacan. May mga dinadaanan dyan at makakasakay naman daw.
Kasi daw sa NLEX.
However, at around 4 p.m. onwards, the terminals gradually able to load passengers going to provinces. Tomorrow, April 7, it is expected that some of the bus trips will cease operations as other bus companies will allow their drivers and conductors to take their vacations. Regular operations of bus terminals in Cubao will resume early morning on Saturday, April 8. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, or PITX, expected the influx of passengers or travelers going to the provinces either for leisure travel or to join their loved ones. Some passengers earlier today, April 6, experienced delays in departure on the first day of the long holiday.
Yung bus daw ay parating pa lang ay nasa may turbina pa. Hinihintay daw yung tawag ng dispatcher. Hanggang ngayon wala pa. Ang aga-aga ko pang nagising. Galing pa ako ng Cavite sa Bacoor.
Ayun po, sana nag-advise sila ahead of time. Tapos, dapat na-anticipate na nila yung mangyayari. Dapat nagpumunta na sila sa shop ng mas maaga.
According to PITX and the bus company, the delay was due to the traffic congestion in Quezon and the maintenance checkup. The bus company also assured the public that those passengers were able to board and they have acted on the said matter. As of 4 p.m. today, there are 78,879 foot traffic recorded in the PITX, or the number of individuals inside the terminal. All All is well at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA, since the first day of April until the official start of the long holiday today, April 6. According to the Manila International Airport Authority, or MIAA. MIAA reports that it has recorded over 580,000 passengers across all terminals and an aggregate of 3,675 commercial flights since April 1st in NAIA. MIAA General Manager Cesar Chong says that the airport was able to prevent passenger crowding in NAIA due to the continuous dispatch, departure, and arrival of flights. He added that because of this, queuing has become manageable. Chong remarks that the airline on-time performance, or OTP, showed marked improvement, resulting to the continuous flow of passengers in the 4 terminals of NAIA. The last trip of passenger vessels at the Manila North Port Passenger Terminal is expected to depart tonight. Dante Amento has the story.
A delay occurred in today's last trip of passenger vessel bound for Cebu and Osamis City in Mindanao, but it is expected to depart tonight from the original schedule of 5:30 p.m. Some passengers said there is no problem for them because they will be spending several days on vacation in the province.
Yung nag-ano ako ng March 30, naubusan na rin, tsaka mahal na rin yung ticket, kaya yun na lang po.
Kasi po, busy po sa trabaho. Dito po kami nakatira. Uuwi po kami ng Osamis. Bakasyon lang. 1 buwan kami doon. Tapos,
only over 500 passengers for today's trip, including chance passengers.
Siguro nag-iba yung destination sa mga pasahero. Instead of going to Visayas and Mindanao, siguro yung mga byland sila. Nagpunta, let's say, Baguio, Bicol, Norte, yung mga ganyan.
There will be no trip at the Manila North Port Passenger Terminal tomorrow, April 7. The operation will resume on Saturday, April 8. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Japan's dynamic positioning vessel Shinichi Maru had its last operation yesterday, April 5, after its bagging operation to seal the leaks of the sunken MT Princess Empress has finally been finished. They covered 5 leaks where the continuous leakage came from. 6 leaks remained with no cover, but in the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG category, one of the 6 leaks only has slow intermittent oil release, while the other 5 are almost intermittent. The incident command team is already in the monitoring stage if any leak came from the motor tanker. The operation of 2 tugboats of the Malayan Towage and Salvage Corporation continues to remove floating oil spill debris at Ground Zero. The remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, of the United States Navy will continue in operation until April 11. Meanwhile, 67% of the shoreline affected by the oil spill has been cleaned up.
We've still been aggressively doing the shoreline cleanup para talagang ma-address natin yung target natin na maging 100% siya. So sa ngayon, yung effort namin nakapokus na dun sa phase 2, which is yung monitoring ng mga na-clean up natin together with the ENR and the barangay officials. So joint yan na umiikot yung mga teams natin dun sa mga naapektuhang barangay para ma-assess yung progress.
And for our news abroad, U.S. has sent nuclear-capable B-52 bombers to South Korea as part of another joint military exercise with the allied country following the various military training and field exercises conducted in March. Nerissa Dando will tell us why live. Good evening, Nerissa.
Good evening, Giona. In response to North Korea's consistent ramp-up of its military forces recently, South Korea's long-term ally, the United States, sent B-52 bombers to South Korea as a show of force against North Korea and a display of readiness to counter any incitement initiated by the northern forces. The US-ROK alliance is tagged as a unique and strong partnership between nations, as stressed during the March visit of U.S. Air Force Secretary from Kendall. South Korean military emphasizes that such joint military exercises will enable the country to respond swiftly to any provocations from the North. North Korea, on the other hand, sees such exercises as a rehearsal for war. In recent weeks, North Korea has displayed new small nuclear warheads, committing to produce more weapons-grade nuclear material. Included in the North's arsenal is Hwasong-17, its longest-range intercontinental ballistic missile, a nuclear-capable underwater drone that was test-fired for the third time last month. Back to you, Giona.
Thank you, Nerissa, for that live report. Canada's revised settlement agreement has reached more than $23 billion to compensate First Nations children and families. Monica Canlas tells us why.
In June 2022, an agreement has been signed for a historic 20 billion Canadian dollars settlement to assure just compensation for survivors and their families who experienced welfare discrimination and lack of access to funding. The latest settlement agreement is now at $23.34 billion to compensate Canada's First Nations families and children. In addition to the previous agreement, they have included First Nations children who were placed in care that wasn't financially supported by Indigenous Services Canada, child caregivers affected by the government's narrow definition of Jordan's principle, and the states of parents eligible for compensation. This amended settlement acknowledges the harm that discriminatory funding and programs have done to First Nations children and families and aims to commit for long-term change. According to Cindy Woodhouse, Regional Chief of Assembly of First Nations Manitoba, over 300,000 First Nations children and families have waited decades for recognition of the harm caused to them by Canada's Child and Family Services discriminatory practices, and that thousands of families have been waiting long enough for this $23 billion settlement. The First Nations-led and designed agreement offers extensive wellness assistance and complies entirely with the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal's compensation orders. Monica Canlas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
Thank you, Giona. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Department of Agriculture in Davao Region, or DA11, shipped at the Davao International Airport 18 metric tons of durian to China on Thursday, April 6. Durian Industry Association of Davao City President Emmanuel Belvis said in an interview that China has opened a huge opportunity to sell their produce with exported varieties of Puyat, D101, Cobb, and Duyaya. He added that they would be able to export durian at a higher price, which urged them to improve the production of good quality fruits and look for potential areas for expansion. The farm gate price of Davao durian is 45 pesos per kilogram, and the packing houses in China buys it for 80 pesos per kilo. The said durian export aligns with a bilateral agreement on the protocol of Philippine fresh durian to the Republic of China, signed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. during his state visit to China on January 3 of this year. Meanwhile, Presidential Assistant for Eastern Mindanao Secretary Leo Tereso Magno congratulated the farmers and other stakeholders as he vowed to listen to their concerns to ensure continued growth of the sector. Magno emphasized that consultation, concession, and partnership between the private and government sector would assure sustainability in any endeavor of durian farmers. In other news, the extension of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, between the Philippines and the United States is a serious issue for China. Security analyst and former Deputy National Security Advisor designate Romel Banlawi said it was a violation of the agreement between the Philippines and China when President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. visited Beijing in January 2023.
China, I think, will not treat this very lightly. And in my opinion, I consider our recent engagement with the United States as a betrayal of agreement between the Philippines and China during President Bongbong Marcos' visit in January this year.
The two countries are working together to resolve the maritime dispute in the South China Sea.
The joint agreement to pursue cooperation to resolve conflicts in the South China Sea by intensifying friendly consultations and also encouraging economic relationships as well as people-to-people contacts.
According to Banlawi, if the expansion of the EDCA is implemented permanently, it could affect China's expression of interest in investing in the Philippines, particularly in the province of Cagayan.
For China, it is problematic to promote economic relationship with the Philippines if the Philippines is allowing U.S. military facilities in areas where China is interested to provide investment.
As Russia's representative spoke about children's rights to the United Nations Security Council members via video, multiple countries walked out. Paul Gatchalian explains why live. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Giona. The video of Russia's children's rights representative, Maria Lvova-Belova, was blocked by Britain and the United States from being broadcasted by the United Nations, walking out of the UN conference room with Albania and Malta. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, stated that the decision to do so was to remove Lvova-Belova's ability to spread disinformation, who they say is responsible for the horrible actions taking place in Ukraine. Currently, an arrest warrant for the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and Lvova-Belova was issued by the International Criminal Court as they have been alleged of illegally deporting people and children from Ukraine since they invaded last year. Moscow has stated that Russia was not a signatory of the treaty by ICC, and so the warrants were not valid. Adding to this, Moscow has been seen transporting 5 million Ukrainians, 700,000 children to Russia under their humanitarian campaign. On the contrary to the humanitarian campaign, Asima Ghazi-Bouillon, a British diplomat, stated that they are a calculated policy that seeks to remove the identity of Ukrainian children. Meanwhile, the informal United Nations meeting by Russia has been planned long prior to the ICC warrant issue, which UN Russian Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia says was not intended for the refute of the charges. Back to you, Jonah.
Thank you, Paul, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Giona Privado, live from London, United Kingdom. Good evening.
The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, assures the public of sufficient fish supply. This is despite the oil spill incident transpired in Oriental Mindoro. BFAR noted that the fish production from Oriental Mindoro last year represents only less than 1% of the country's total fish production. BFAR spokesperson Nazer Briguera said that consumers have choices like milkfish, tilapia, and round scad. Prices are also stable, the official added. Based on the price monitoring of the Department of Agriculture in Metro Manila markets, the price of milkfish is 160 to 220 pesos per kilogram, 110 to 160 pesos per kilogram for tilapia, and 180 to 280 pesos per kilogram for round scad. Meanwhile, there is no available imported onion in Metro Manila markets. This is based on the monitoring of the Department of Agriculture or DA. The recent importation brought around 3,500 metric tons of onion in the country.
Kasi kung 3,500 metric tons lang po yan eh. Sa Metro Manila lang po, 3,000 metric tons na ang ating requirement.
DA only monitors local red and white onion that the price ranges at 90 to 140 pesos per kilogram and 100 to 152 pesos per kilo respectively. But DA assures that there is enough supply of onion in the country.
Pero marami naman po tayong local ngayon. Both white at red onions po. Marami tayong local kaya nakikita rin natin yung pagbaba ng presyo.
According to local farmers in Nueva Ecija, the farm gate price of onion is now at 65 to 70 pesos per kilogram. DA said that as of the moment, there is no importation plan for onion.
Ang recommendation normally na importation of onion is mga August and September. So that yung hindi na harvest season, yun naman September, October, papunta na tayo po doon sa holiday season na tumaas ang demand.
The Bureau of Plant Industry will conduct onion inventory this month. As the country deals with slightly more COVID-19 cases along with the dry season, the Department of Health calls on the public to be cautious and follow health protocols, especially this long holiday. Gladys Tawabi will tell us why.
Because of the dry season, the Department of Health or DOH has recorded 118 cases of heat exhaustion in the country. In line with this, the department reminds the public, especially those who will be doing outdoor activities, to be cautious, drink lots of water, and avoid too much sunlight exposure, especially the elderlies.
Maaari po natin gawin kung ano yung dapat nating gawin na importante, just as long as we know how to protect ourselves.
This long holiday, DOH does not recommend fasting, particularly those who are senior citizen and others who are dealing with diseases.
Yung pong pag-aayuno ay hindi na rin pong nararapat para sa inyo dahil ito po ay maaring magkaroon pa ng mas komplikado na epekto dahil sa inyong sakit kapag kayo ay nagmi-miss ng inyong mga pagkain.
Meanwhile, the country has recorded 33% higher COVID-19 cases in March 27 to April 2, compared last March 20 to March 26. DOH says the additional number of cases is not significant. However, the public is still encouraged to wear face masks, especially in crowded areas to protect oneself against the virus. Gladys Tawabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Although most of us are on vacation, we are very grateful for you joining us this evening in our live newscast. We would like to inform you that UNTV News and Rescue will continue to deliver news and updates during the long holiday through our newscasts. You can also watch live on our official social media accounts like YouTube and Facebook from Thursday to Saturday. Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word giving glory to God from the book of 1 John chapter 3, verse 16. It says, "Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren." And those are the reasons behind the news, April 6, 2023, reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.